This is kanji in Danzan-Ryu Jujutsu. I'm your host, George Arrington. In this sixth part of the Kiai no Maki kanji, we'll be looking at the techniques involving the staff or stick. Here's a Japanese scroll that was presented by Professor Okazaki to one of his students when he reached the rank of second black belt. It contains the catalog or mokuroku of the system. In this video, we will be looking at a section of the Kiai no Maki involving the staff. Here in Professor Okazaki's dojo in Honolulu, we'll look at one of the boards, and specifically we'll be looking at the techniques called Bo no Maki. Here's an overview of those techniques. First we have the name, Bo, then the techniques Hanbo Uchikomidori, Rokushaku Bo Furi, Mune Gatame, Shiho Gatame, Ninin Jime, Furo Jime, and Shichinin Jime. So here is the name of this particular section of the Kiai no Maki called Bo. We first see the handwritten version from the scroll, and then here is the printed version with our little period mark here. The name is Bo, and we see here the hiragana ho with the two little marks that indicate bo, or the b sound. So bo, or bo for this hiragana, and then the u character or hiragana indicates to elongate the vowel sound, so it should be bo. The meaning of this word is staff or pole, or sometimes just stick. Now the brush strokes for bo are as follows. We have first this particular radical, which you may recognize as a tree. So it goes 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And then up here on this side, we go 5, 6, 7. Then the sweeping downstroke here is 8. 9 only goes through the bottom of those horizontal lines, like so. And then we draw the remainder 10, 11, so both of the horizontals are drawn first, and then the vertical 12, like so. And you notice that in the written version, the horizontal line goes way down like that, so they've overemphasized that particular stroke. Now if we take the size of a person, like so, approximately 6 feet tall, we can get a sense of the types of sticks or poles that are used in this particular section of techniques. First, we'll look at what's called the hanbo, which is about 3 feet long. And then we look at the bo, which is the 6-foot staff, like so. But many of the techniques in the Kiai no Maki bo section are done with a pole, usually a bamboo pole, of about 10 to 15 feet in length. So the first technique we'll see has a rather long name. It's Hanbo Uchikomidori. And we see here the handwritten section, and then here are the 5 kanji that make up this name. Han means half. And then we see bo again, and that means staff. So the half staff, or the cane as it's called, or the walking stick, is the hanbo. Then we see uchi, which means to strike, and komi, which means crowded, and you may remember from an earlier video that this means to drive into. And then finally we see dori or tori, and that means to grab or seize. Could also mean arrest in some contexts. So here are the stroke orders. The word for half, han, starts like this: 1, 2, and then the horizontal strokes 3, 4, and then the vertical. So it's very simple: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we just did this one. I'll go through that real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12. And now uchi we've seen also before. 1 vertical stroke with a kick at the bottom, and 3 comes up like that. By the way, you may remember what this particular radical means. It means hand. 4, 5 with a little kick on the end. And then komi has this, it has the radical for enter, 1, 2, and then this interesting section here, 3, 4, and then 5, like that. And then tori we've seen several times before. 1, 2, kick, 3, 4, and then we make this container 5, 6 over and down with a kick, 7, 8, the vertical stroke, and then this little mark on the side. All right, the next technique is called Rokushaku Bo Furi. All right, here's the handwritten section, and then the kanji. Now, Roku is the character for 6. Shaku, we often think of it to mean the unit of length, a foot, but actually it's the Japanese foot, which is 11.9 inches. So their unit of measure is slightly different than the Western unit of measure there. So Rokushaku could mean 6 feet, but it's a little bit less than that. Again, we see bo, meaning staff. And now here's a new character that we haven't seen before, furi, and that means to swing or wave or wag, like wagging a finger, or to shake. It can mean to shake. So let's look at the brush strokes for those. Roku, the character for 6, goes like this: 1, 2. There's our pot lid, and then 3, 4. So that's one of the first characters that you learn when you're learning kanji. You learn your numbers 1 through 9. And then shaku is this way. It goes 1, which goes across and then down, 2, 3, like that, and then 4, like so. It looks like the English letter R, but this is shaku. Again, we have bo. We'll go through that quickly. Here's the tree: 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now this character here is furi. And we see here that this section is the section for hand. So 1, 2 with kick, 3, and now this is a new set of strokes. 4, 5 comes down like so. 6, 7, 8, 9 comes here first, and then this downward stroke. You may be tempted to do that one and then that one, but it should be the 9-stroke and then the 10-stroke, like so. By the way, this character here for Furi, we think of this 6-foot staff as it indicates twirling the 6-foot staff. The next technique is called Mune Gatame. Here we see the written and the printed version of these kanji. Mune, we've seen before, it means chest. And katame or gatame in this context means to set or to harden. We saw this character back in the Shime series of videos. To set or to harden, you might think of it to freeze something into place or to pin something, and it indicates a form of grappling. Here are the brush strokes for this particular character. We have this, for Mune, we have this part which indicates a body part. So it goes 1, 2, down with a little kick, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this inner part's a little bit tricky. 7, 8 goes that way, 9, 10. So that's Mune or chest. Then Gatame or Katame is done this way. You first draw part of the box, 1, 2, then we draw the insides, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that inner part means ancient. It's the Ko and Koden Kan. And then we finally close it off by drawing the line across like so. The next technique is Shiho Gatame, and here we see the written and printed version of these kanji. Shi means 4, and Ho means direction. But really, this means when you say Shiho, you don't mean necessarily 4 directions like north, south, east, west. That indicates in all directions. So when you say Shiho, the indication is in all directions. And then in the last one we saw Katame or Gatame, which means to set or harden or to grapple is the implication there. The stroke order for these are as follows. The character for 4, turn on my laser pointer here, is as follows. 1, 2, so we're about starting to draw the little box, but we draw the inside first. 3, and then 4, this fourth stroke goes down and to the right like so. And then we close off the box with 5. So that's the character for 4. Now the character whole, meaning direction, you start with our pot lid, which goes 1, 2. Now you may be tempted to draw this stroke here, but you actually draw this stroke first. 3 goes across, sweeps down and kicks up, and then we finish it with the 4. So let's do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that 3 is slightly offset downward from the second stroke there. And then finally we have the same character that we saw on the last technique, Katame. 1, 2. We don't close the box quite yet. We draw the insides. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, that means ancient. And then 8 across like so. Now the next technique, Ninin Jime, looks like this. Ni means two. And nin is the character for a person, not a man or a woman. It's simply a person, like so. And then jime means a constriction. So when we talk about shime or jime, we're talking about a constriction. Oftentimes you think of this as a choke or a strangling technique in jujutsu. So that's what that is. Now, this term ni-nin is often expressed as the following. And this is fu, and this is ta, and this is ri. So we would say futari, futari. The fu sound is kind of shortened there. So you say futari. And that means exactly the same thing as ni-nin does. They are exactly equivalent. You could say that the word two is futa, and the word for person is ri. Another way of saying it is ri. So futari is exactly the same thing as ni-nin. In some cases, it is a little better to say it futari as opposed to ni-nin. There's a technique in another board called ni-nin nage, and might be better to say that one as futari nage. So here's the stroke order. Probably the second kanji you ever learn is this one, 1, 2. The first one is simply 1, ichi, but this one is ni. So 1, 2, pretty simple. And then the next character for nin is 1, 2, like so. And then constriction, jime, is done this way. We go 1, which goes down and has a little turn there. 2 goes down and a turn with a third stroke being that one there. And then 4, 5, and 6. And as I mentioned in an earlier video, this particular radical means thread. And then the remainder of this kanji, we have our little pot lid here, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you may recognize that as a 6, but then we add on 11 and 12. So that second part goes 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11, and then 12, like so. So the next technique is called furojime, and here's the handwritten and the printed version. Fu means the wind. And by the way, this particular kanji can be pronounced kaze, as in kamikaze, or kaza, as in the oku technique kazaguruma. So that's wind. The second kanji is ro, and that means spine. So now you might ask the question, if you mix wind plus spine, what could that mean? And strangely enough, it means bath, our bathtub. And why you mix wind and spine together to get bath, frankly, I don't know, but that's the way it is. So that is furo, the Japanese bath. Next we see jime, which we just saw on the previous technique, and that means constriction. So here's the stroke order. The first one you need to be a little bit careful with. It goes 1, 2, and then an outward slanting stroke like so with a kick on the end. We'd been used to seeing this as coming in or straight down with a kick. But this one, it goes 1, 2, curving outward with a kick. And then next we draw the inside, 3, like so. Then we draw this box on the inside, 4, 5, 6, then a vertical stroke, 7, and then a slanted upward stroke, 8, and then we cap it off with that little 9 stroke there. Okay, next for spine, for roll, we draw 2 boxes. We draw 1 box, then a line, and then the second box. So the box goes like this, 1, 2, 3, then the little connector line at a slight angle, 4, then the second box, 5, 6, 7. And then finally we draw the third character here, which we just saw in the previous technique. It's constriction, or jime. We first draw this section, which means thread, and we go 1, 2, like so. They kind of touch each other. 3 comes down like that. Then 4, the middle part, and then 5 and 6 on the outside. This little section here means thread. And then we draw our little pot lid here, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then be careful here, this one starts from the right and goes left, 11 and 12, like so. Now, I wanted to include in this particular technique a picture of this technique being performed. This gentleman here with the sticks around his neck, this is Tony Moran, and this was taken somewhere around 1940, and this was taken at the Honolulu Army Navy YMCA. In fact, the upstairs gymnasium is behind them, and they came outside a window onto a little platform outside the window to perform this technique. By the way, this particular picture is included in my book, Danzan-Ryu Essentials, which is available on Amazon if you are interested in purchasing that. So the last technique in the bo section of the Kiai no Maki is called Shichinin Jime. Here we see the handwritten and printed version. Shichi means 7. Nin again means person, and jime means constriction. The brush strokes are as follows. 7 is written this way. 1 down, and number 2 goes down and curves around and flips up at the end like that. So that's 7. And I mentioned in an earlier video, sometimes you'll see this with the horizontal stroke coming up at a slight angle. You see that somewhat in this picture here, but that's the brush strokes. Nin, again, very simple character. 1, 2, and then the last 2 techniques we saw, jime, we'll do that again. Here's the thread. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, and then again, be careful, 11 goes this way, 11, and then 12. My book, Mokuroku and Kaiden Sho, the official documents of Danzan-Ryu Jujutsu, contain translations of several of the Mokuroku scrolls, as well as some of the other important documents from Danzan-Ryu. It contains a complete translation showing the handwritten version, the printed kanji version, the romanized version of the Japanese, as well as the English translation. So if you're interested, pick this up on Amazon.com. I think you'll like it. Well, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video in this series. I'll see you then.